The upcoming selection pack, Tricky Reception, now has a release date, has unveiled more cards, and also it is showcasing that a card is going to get unbanned. For all that and more, let's talk about the meta relevance of these changes and this upcoming pack, starting off with the unbanned Summon Sorceress. What is so good about this? Well, it is currently banned in the TCG, and this is an errata. So the card had a different effect. I don't even know what it did, but I'm going to focus on the new effect. If this card is link summoned as a link 3, 2+ monsters of the same type have to be able to make this. So, for example, you could in any deck play Reprodokus. Reprodokus is a dinosaur. It's a link 2. Any 2 monsters could make this. Declare a monster type. All face-up monsters this points to can become dinosaur. So with Reprodokus, the monster it's pointing to, you could then now in any deck get through the restriction of Summon Sorceress. Now, why do we care to summon this? If this card is link summoned, you could special summon 1 monster from your hand into defense onto your opponent's zone this points to. Then, so before has to happen, anytime there's the word then, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck in defense with the same type as the monster you gave your opponent onto your side of the field, and its effects is also negated. Now, a huge downside of grabbing a monster from your own deck is if you summon from the deck this way, you now cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except monsters with that same original type. So a deck that's going to want to be using this will be something like Yubel. If we look at Yubel, Yubel is Fiend. Fiend, Fiend, Fiend. What's not Fiend that's really good? Something like Apollo USA. It is a fairy. So you would think, oh, summon Sorceress, it's a link 3, and then with that 1 body you summon onto the field, make an easy Apollo. It's not going to happen. So that is definitely a huge downside on why you would not want to play the card. So let's look on over to the OCG stats on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta by clicking on this button. And now on over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, we can see it is being played quite prevalent within Unchained. It's popular in Unchained. That's nice. Yubel, it's 11% usage. Dragon Link, 20% usage. 6 Samurai, 100% usage. So I'm assuming you grab a 6 Samurai from your deck that activates in the graveyard, and that's where this would definitely benefit. Now, I want to focus on the Yubel usage as I have a picture for you like this. So you normally with your Dark Beckoning Beast, if you're not going to be playing too many Unchained cards in your main deck and also playing the Abyss Actor in your extra deck, all that nonsense, don't worry about it if you have no idea what I'm talking about. With the Dark Beckoning Beast, you can't connect to your Yubel engine, generally. But now with the Summon Sorceress, you don't have to play anything different in your main deck, and you can now connect to your Yubel engine. With the Dark Beckoning Beast, you make a Yama, and then with the Yama, you search for a Shavara, and then you are going to be reborning a monster from the graveyard with the opening of the Spear Gates to make your Link 3 Summon Sorceress, and then you give your opponent the Shavara or another monster in your hand, another Fiend could be good, and then that's going to allow you to summon from the deck your Samsara D Lotus. And as you can see here, it is negated. But also on the screen is a Muckraker. So if you don't want to play the Super Producer Abyss Actor because your extra deck space is tight, just whip out the Muckraker, discard another card from your hand, reborn the D Lotus, and you of course can make the Muckraker with the Sorcerer Summoner that is herself, plus the D Lotus you summon from the deck. And just like that, you are into your Yubel engine. So that's going to be how this card is when it comes out. I don't expect that many people to be playing it, but you know, I may be pleasantly surprised if it becomes the most prevalent way to play Yubel where it currently isn't. And maybe the stats on Yubel are being a bit influenced by the fact that they are mostly playing Fiendsmith. So is this something that you definitely want to play in pure Yubel? Let's investigate that a little bit. Let's click on OCG. Well, okay, wait, 3 out of 4 of the recent, okay, wait, no, these are all Fiendsmith. Yeah, a lot of them playing Fiendsmith. So it looks like even if you're playing Fiendsmith, wait, these are all, a lot of these are the Unchained deck too. Yeah, they're all over the place. Unchained with Fiendsmith. Yeah, so I don't see any weird discrepancies here on where it would only want to be played in pure over Fiendsmith. It looks like it's mixed up, but then here's a nice little streak of pure Yubel wanting to be playing it. So we'll see with the Master Duel. Now, let's move on to Moon of the Closed Heaven. Holy moly. This is the main combo starter for any deck to be able to go into the Fiendsmith engine. And if you've been living under a rock and have no idea about the prevalence of this in the TCG and OCG, it's been absolutely dominating. Before it's even out in Master Duel, it's got banless hits from TCG and OCG. So let's investigate that real quick. We'll click on the Fiendsmith Engraver, we'll go to TCG Stats. Now we're on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, let's type in Fiendsmith into the search. And you can see Lacrima banned. Now if we click on the OCG, you will see Tracked and Engraver both limited to 1. So why is the closed moon a big thing about this? Well, let's see. If we type in the closed moon, well, it used to be closed moon, now it's closed heaven. So I gotta remember the new name. Oh, it's moon of the closed heaven, so maybe I was incorrect. Now, as you can see, pretty much any deck that's using Fiendsmith is using this, of course. Now, we do have a Mad Lad not using Fiendsmith, and they are still using the card. So why is that the reason here? Well, that's because the Moon of the Closed Heaven looks just like the Underworld Goddess. I don't know if it's the same character or what. Maybe she evolves, or it's her mother, sister, you tell me, because they combo together. So let's read the actual effect of the Moon of the Closed Heaven, and then we'll circle back on over to Fiendsmith real quick. So any 2 effect monsters can make this. You target a face-up opponent's monster this card points to. So already, it is very similar to Anima. Now, Anima's being used in decks like Rescue Ace, Voiceless Voice, even Ritual Beast is tossing this in randomly. And we already know that this is going to be targeting a monster on the opponent's side to where it's pointing to, and it's going to suck it up. And because of this card, most people put their important monsters on the far left, far right, or in the middle of the main monster zones to avoid getting sucked. So already, if we're all playing around the Anima, then we're going to be naturally playing around the Closed Heaven to not really get that great benefit of what is that benefit exactly. So when you target target the monster. It would have been great if it was non-targeting at least, geez. This turn, if you link summon a Link 5 using this card, you control as material. You could also use the opponent's monster as material. Now, you must be thinking, Goddess already allows you to use your opponent's monster, so it's kind of redundant, right? You can also use one monster your opponent controls as material to link summon this card. Now, the most efficient way to make a Goddess, because it requires 4+ monsters, is going to be you controlling a Link 2 other monsters, and then using your opponent's monster. Well, now you can, with the Moon of the Closed Heaven, have 1 less monster on the field. You don't have to be doing paper math in your head real quick. I got a picture for you. So here you go. We only have 1 body and a Link 2, which you can't Goddess with that. You'd need 1 other body, and then the 4th body would be the opponent's field. But thanks to the Closed Heaven and pointing to an opponent's monster here, we're going to use both monsters on their field, both of them, to then summon our Underworld Goddess. So again, people do play around Anima. This likely will, I don't know if this will ever happen, but maybe. I mean, that one Mad Lad was using it, and I guess it was happening enough for them to want to include it in their extra deck. I don't know what's going on at their tournament where they're actually pulling this off. Sometimes it could be unavoidable, though. There are Link monsters that point forward, and you could just summon this in front of it, and then you would be able to out it through that way, where, similar to using Goddess. I guess my problem with this card is if you're summoning a Link 2, generally, if you're working towards making a Goddess, you're already stealing a monster from their graveyard through something. Let's say you're using a Hida or a Dark. But anyway, the main reason that this is a big deal is because of the Fiendsmith engine. So let's look at Fiendsmith real quick. So we could just look at Yubel because they are playing Fiendsmith. And one of the main cards to get to your Fiendsmith Engraver is the Fiendsmith Requiem. You're going to tribute this card, special summon a Fiendsmith from your hand or deck. Now, for anyone to be able to play this, it requires a light fiend monster to make. So you have 2 monsters of any kind making the Moon of the Closed Heaven. We don't care about the effect whatsoever. And then we link it off into the Fiendsmith Requiem, then special summon for the deck. It is a core part of the deck. It is very much needed. This is simply how you play Fiendsmith. So the fact that Konami is releasing this early, I do think it is potentially, maybe, I know or don't know, this is a big tip to you all. Get ready for the Fiendsmith. And really, what other card could be tipping you off about Fiendsmith that's not this card? Maybe a Beatrice band, that's the only other thing. So Closed Heaven coming out, and or Beatrice being banned equal get ready for the Fiendsmith. Now, what else beyond this? We also know in the pack, the Hollow the Spirit Tricks is coming. And I was talking about this in an earlier video, but to sum it up, you could now in your Yubel deck activate Nightmare Throne and then take the Hollow, destroy it from your deck. So instead of adding it, destroy it. And then when this is destroyed, even from the deck or even in your hand, let's say you're using Nightmare Pain, you now get to have the benefit of, when destroyed, send one monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. That is non-target, non-destruction. That is great removal. I did compare it to something like Subversion. Now, Subversion does target. So, you know, this in a way could be considered better. So, very cool. Maybe Yubel players will be playing at least one. And then what else is coming out? We have Ween, the Spirit Treats. This is for zombie support, very similar to the Hollow, where they have the same effect of on summon, you get to have your opponent choose that they're either going to gain 800 attack for each zombie you currently in your graveyard or inflict 500 damage, where Hollow is for fiend monsters instead. So if you flood your graveyard with a ton of zombies or fiends, you have the Halloween cards are going to get super boosted or burn for game. And I guess the point is you put them in the zone where they can't burn or they'll die, and then they die anyway because you get huge. Now, what else is coming in this pack? Well, also they have a card that will be coming with it, Trick or Treat. Add one Hollow or Ween from your deck or graveyard to your hand. That's great that it's from your deck or graveyard to your hand. That is nice, sure. Now, let's see what else we have here. We have Gold Pride Eradicator. What does this do? During your opponent's turn, you could target one Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link on the field. Or if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you could target two instead, destroy them. And then you can only use this effect once per turn. And then the other effect is during the end phase, if the previous effect is activated, return this card to the extra deck. And if you do, special summon a Gold Pride Eliminator from your deck or graveyard. So this would be the other card. And we're going to see if it's actually being used or not. So here it is, the Gold Pride Eliminator, level 5. And if your life points are lower than your opponent, special summon this for free. So you could use something like Upstart Goblin. Boom, you're already now lower life than your opponent by giving your opponent 1,000. You could banish one other Gold Pride from your hand, face up field or graveyard to special summon a Gold Pride token. And it's going to be the same level as the monster you banish. Also, this card could not be used as material for a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link this turn except for a Gold Pride monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, if we go on over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, the problem with this is Gold Pride has pretty much fallen off the map in relevancy. So we'll click on Captain Carry, we could click on Gold Pride and Gold Pride Punk. And I mean, from here also you could see OCG, TCG, and let's see on the main pages here. The last time it did well in a tournament, it was in 2023, more than a year ago. And is the Gold Pride card out, the Eradicator? Let's see this real quick. Eliminator, let's type this in, Gold Pride Eliminator. Maybe TCG doesn't have it. They have it since April 27th, all right? So if we go on to OCG, this is just the Gold Pride. Yeah, October 2023, but there's the other deck type. There's Gold Pride Punk, the more prevalent one. So let's see here. We have June 2023. So they didn't, here's an October 2024, actually. Okay, wait a second. It's not using the new card, and it's after the new card came out? What? That's a problem. How about OCG? Let's scroll up. Wow, OCG does not really care. So this, in fact, right, the Eliminator came out in April, as we saw. This is in October, and this dude, Anthony, just did not even want to play it. This is the only person that did well recently with the Gold Pride card, so it looks like they are potentially a bust. But again, the deck type itself is super irrelevant within the TCG and OCG because the meta is way too powerful over there. If you ever want to see what's going on, just click on over to the tier list. This is the TCG, this is the OCG. So, you know, maybe Copium, the cards could be okay enough for Master Duel as many other deck types are, where you have all the time in the world to have fun on the ladder with a troll deck or for fun or casual. But in a tournament, it's generally once a week, and you don't have time to be playing something that's not super top tier optimal generally if you want to do well. So that's just what happens. And there you go. Let's see what the comments are of this pack so far. All right. And yes, the elephant in the room. I did not leak this pack. That's because this is an end of the month pack. This is an extra pack. This is not a main selection pack, but still, what about the pack after? Where's the November pack? So my update on that right now is I'm waiting. We got to wait. Got to wait. Don't think this is, I will say right now, it is at the moment a bit unprecedented, but there are things that I don't want to say on YouTube or on stream or in Discords where I think things are going to be fine. So I can't go into it, but just stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. Let's see the comments. Give me Chimera and Memento support. Yeah, you can't really expect something like this into this for fun pack. This is very similar to the Promethean Princess. So let's see. Promethean Princess came out in Record of Noble Spirits, and the cards we got in this, April 30th, same time pretty much. I guess Promethean Princess is Halloween related. Something like this. This was like a nothing pack, absolutely nothing. It did have some random cards here that were good. Time Terry Morgan. I'm actually using the Trap Tracks right now in my Buster Blader Tenpai deck. That's quite fun. All right, and what else are people saying? They want their support. Yep. No. Yeah, they're afraid. Fiendsmith. Closed Heaven, 7-month-old card when Fiendsmith was released in the OCG. So you could save the dooming until, wait, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Maybe. Closed Heaven being UR is unreal. Absolutely worthless except for the tags of Light and Fiend to help summon Fiendsmith. All right, that's it for the video. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you. We are out.